Restoring, painting, or fixing a car at home is a great way to learn a lot of automotive skills, and the satisfaction you get after completing the project is well worth it. But it can be hard work and overwhelming. That's why I've compiled 7 tips and some considerations before starting on a project build at home. There's a few things I've learned along the way, and there's a few things that I wish I knew before I started. So I'm providing a non-professional perspective on the subject of project car builds, especially when you're doing it at home in a shed or a garage. If I can help at least one person with these tips, then I'll be happy. So you've got your project car. What now? So tip number 1 is the goal. Get to know your project. Is it a back on the road, or is it a full restoration? Does it need a closed door respray, or a full paint job, or even a paint detail and correction? Or does the engine need fixing? Knowing your car and your goal will give you a clear direction for the subsequent tips. Tip number 2 is source parts. Is there no engine? You might need to source an engine. Is it rusty? You probably have to source rust repair panels, or even sheets of metal to make up those patch panels. Is the car going to be a retro mod or a performance car? Then you might need to source special diffs and special transmissions, plus the bracketry for all your test fitting needs. Tip number 3 is sourcing the tools. Now this is important, from things like basic mechanical tool sets for stripping down the car, to air compressors for spraying, and welders for welding in your rust repair panels. Sourcing the tools is probably one of the most important things if you're about to embark on a project at home. My tip number 4 is breaking down the project into parts and then concentrating on those parts. For instance, a full rebuild from top to bottom. You would start off by stripping the car first, and then working on the metalwork, the rust repairs, and then following that, the bodywork, your primers and your fillers, your spray painting, and then assembly, engine work, driveline, brakes. So breaking down the project into parts is going to stop you from getting overwhelmed from the sheer size of the complete project. That's if you're doing a full top to bottom rebuild. My 5th tip, which probably should be tip number 1, is budget. Now, anything to do with cars is usually quite expensive, from an engine change to a full restoration. If you want a show car, then it's going to cost you tens and maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you outsource specific jobs, you know, that's going to cost you money. You're paying for someone else's labor, and you're paying for someone else's experience as well. They've worked really hard for a long time of their life in gaining the necessary experience to provide you with some quality work. You can do things yourself, but even still, buying the tooling, buying the consumables, or even just replacing old worn parts with new is going to cost you some money, so keep budget in mind. Tip number 6 is outsourcing. Now, I'm all for doing everything yourself, but sometimes it comes to a point where you don't have the budget or the experience or the know-how to do certain things like engine building to automotive trimming. And another important factor with outsourcing is sometimes your vision and ability don't quite match up. If that's the case, you might have to look at sourcing some parts of your build externally. Tip number 7 is be realistic. You might change your mind, you might go overboard, you might not be able to produce the quality of work that you've been wanting to produce, like all the other internet cars out there. Sometimes you might have to live with that backyard look. But the thing is, whether the car is a 6 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, that feeling you get once you sit in there and you drive it, or you look at it and you think, I built that, it's something to be proud of. Many projects go unfinished. Just try not to be one of them. Well, that's it for my 7 tips before starting on a car project journey. I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments section below if you have a project car underway or you are looking to start one. I'll be interested to see what sort of cars out there people are looking to build or are currently building. That's it for me. Cheers and see ya.